Hi, it's me, Jazzy. I'm back with another tech-related video, and today I'm taking a look at a soldering iron. Now, we've had a look at a couple of soldering irons before on the channel, which I use on a daily basis. So, I've seen a lot of these T12 clones on AliExpress and similar sites, so I thought I'd give one a go. And rather than buy a ready-built one, I thought let's have a go at putting a kit one together. You can buy a set of all the components you need to build one of these soldering irons, and then you can buy the completed power supply board and just pop it into your case. How hard can it be? Well, we're about to find out. So I've picked myself up a T12 kit. This one's badged as Quicko. They come badged as various different generic brands. They're very similar to the Casager soldering irons, very similar sort of case, and the actual soldering iron itself is almost identical. A friend of mine uses the Casager one and they're very happy with it. They've actually got two of them. Right, so my package arrived from AliExpress, came in two separate packages, so let's get them on the bench, open them up and see what we got. Right, let's have a look what we've got. Mine came in two separate packages. In the box we've got all the bits to make the actual soldering iron kit. I've got a separate package here with my power supply board. I paid £23.75 for the kit itself and £12.83 for the power supply. So total of £36.58. So in the bottom of the box, looks like we've got the case, nicely bubble wrapped. Okay, it's actually quite well packed, all this. Nothing else in there. Okay, get rid of that. So let's have a look at the case. Just come up. Some little rubber feet there. Here's our case. It's a very nice aluminium case. The only thing to watch out for, these cases are not earthed, but we're going to do a little modification on our kit to make it a bit safer to use. Nice pre-installed IEC socket, switch and fuse on the back there. All looks pretty nicely made, all in all. Move that over. Let's see what we get in the main packet here. This should be everything we need to make our soldering iron. Certainly plenty of bits in here. So this looks like the OLED front panel and all the cables and stuff to hook it up. Okay, good. There's a 4-core cable here, which is our soldering iron cable. So some soldering required. So yes, you do need a soldering iron to make this soldering iron. Got an aviator plug here, which is how you connect your soldering iron. And that's the handpiece itself. Okay, all looks pretty simple to put together. Right, so that's that. We've got IEC cable, non-UK plug, unfortunately. That's okay, I can change that, not a problem. And it comes with one tip here. Now, this takes the standard T12 tips, which are readily available. You can pick them up on AliExpress or any similar selling site. So that's everything you need to make the soldering iron. So let's have a look what we get in the package for the power supply. Again, very nicely wrapped. Good to see lots of layers of bubble wrap and stuff on it. Let's have a look inside. It's very well packed. Okay, what have we got? Now this board is pre-assembled. No need to solder up the board. This comes ready-made. Literally, it should just drop in the case and off we go. Okay, it looks very nice. This is the revised board with the transformer laying down. Some of the earlier ones suffered with the heatsink going over one of the high voltage traces. So there's a little modification needed if you've got one of those early boards. But these later ones, the heatsink is a different design. It's not really a problem with these ones. We've just got to overcome the earthing problem, which is pretty simple to do. There we go. That's everything we need to make our Quicko T12. So the first thing to do is get the screws out. I'm just going to take this front panel off first. Okay, it's all very nicely made. And let's take the back panel out. Just 4 screws on the front, 4 on the back. Nice and easy. That just pulls out. That's the top of the case. There we go. That's all nicely made. And you've got connectors on the back there. So it just plugs straight into your power supply board. So there's no mucking about. You don't have to solder wires onto your power supply board. Power supply board just slots in, 2 little grooves in the bottom of the case. And then your IEC socket assembly just literally slots into those connectors. So you've got connectors for the mains coming in and connectors for the switch. There we go, and that just pushes in. Nice and easy. Let's set that aside for a minute. Let's have a look what's in this box. This should be all the bits for the front panel. So you've got 2 connectors. Wires are already stripped and pre-tinned. Look at that. That's pretty good. That's your OLED display. There we go. That's the entirety of your front panel pretty much. You've got a beeper on the back there and 2 sockets for these plugs to go in. One of those will go to the back of the aviator socket that goes to your soldering iron. The other one goes to the power supply board. You've got 2 included sensors. You've got a ball sensor and a mercury type ball sensor. It does say in the instructions you can use either one. Doesn't matter which one you want to pick. You can hear the ball moving about when you shake it from side to side. So I'm going to go with this clear one, which is supposedly more effective. Anyway, we'll give it a go. So let's have a look. So this is 4-core cable. Now the other similar one to this is the Casager. That has a 5-core cable and a 5-pin plug. This has 4. Now these are actually numbered on here. You can see on this aviation plug. Strip this end of the cable and you can see our 4 coloured wires here. Basically, we've got to cut the white wire a little bit shorter because the sensor's going to go there. Okay, and then we just need to strip enough of that to solder it to this sensor. Okay. Great. Now in the instructions it says cut any 1 pin shorter. Okay, so we're just going to cut 1 pin shorter. Then we're going to solder that to the white wire. So yes, the answer is yes, you do need a soldering iron to build this soldering iron. There we go, that's that step done. Now it says to connect the other pin to the plastic stent, which it appears is this. Now we have the cable ties. That will become apparent in a minute. The other pin is here. Cut that off a little bit. It's a little bit fiddly. It's quite simple to do this. We've got to get that through there and that sensor in there. That's it. Yep, happy with that. Now the black is going to also solder to the same place as the sensor. So we need to strip this. Great. So looking at the instructions, which are actually rather helpful, we can see the location of the red and green wires. So let's get this green one stripped and in place. Let's just solder that one in. I've already tinned the wire and the pin to make life easier for myself. Now let's strip the red and get that in position. Lovely, just solder that one in, and that's this connector almost done. There we go, looking pretty good. Here's why it gives us the little cable ties. It says tie the wire together with the plastic stent and cut off the excess, which is this. This is the stent. I guess this is the extent of the stent. You can't go wrong with cable ties. Any project that involves cable ties and or gaffer tape, I'm there. Looks pretty good to me. Well, it looks like the photo. That's always good. Right, let's have a look at the components of the soldering iron then. It's pretty simple and you can easily get loads of different replacement tips for these T12s. Right, okay, there's not many parts to this. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to thread this on before we put the aviation plug on the other end. Because on the instructions it skips ahead from doing this to fitting the plug on the other end. Now that would be a faux pas because you wouldn't be able to get this on. So we need to feed this on first before you put the aviation plug on. This goes up here. Okay, and we've got a strain relief here to go on. Poke that into there. There we go, that's fantastic. So the screw thread on there goes into there. So this, all of this is going to have to go in here. You've got to push that right in. There we go. This is a test of how good your soldering was inside, you see. So this piece sits in like this in like this, and then this will screw in. Okay, right. We have our soldering iron handle. Here is our tip. I'm not going to put the tip in yet until I've got the aviator plug on. So we have our soldering iron end. Now we have to do the other end. Right, let's pull that out. So that's going to need to go on the cable. Oh look, tiny little strain relief here. Right, that goes through there, and then we've got this little clear bit that goes on there. Right, lovely. Okay, now we just need to strip this off a bit. Right. Pretty straightforward stuff. 4 wires to strip and solder. And then the actual soldering iron part of this is done. Then we've got to work on the base station next. Now, if doing electrical type stuff for years and years has taught me one thing, it's make sure you've always got all the bits on the cable that you need. Any strain relief, any parts of a connector, because I've done it so many times where you've soldered wires on and realised that part of the plug or strain relief or whatever is not attached. Now, they've quite handily numbered. I don't know if you can see that, but they've quite handily numbered this. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, anti-clockwise. So let's do these two first. Let's tin those. And one is green. Okay, so let's get green on first, shall we? It's where the Omnifixo comes in handy. You see, it's like another pair of hands. It's great. Highly recommend picking one of these up. Right, so that one is number 4, which is black. So black's going to go there. Then we flip it over and do the other two. That's good. Now we can flip that over and do the bottom two. So number 2 is red. So red's going to go on that side. Okay, so we know that red's going to go there. Double check on the thing. Yep, white is number 3. Lovely. White one is in. That's it. We're done. Great. Hopefully that screws on. Right, excellent. And then just tighten up the strain relief. And that's our soldering iron assembly pretty much done, apart from putting the tip in. Right, there we go. Let's move this out of the way for a moment then. Now we can focus on the power supply end of things. I'm just going to take this nut off the back. This just sits in here like this. In the photos they've got it this way in with the D10 at the top. Find myself a spanner in a minute and do that. Now the wires on the connectors come already stripped and pre-tinned. That's pretty handy. I'm just going to tin the connectors on the back of the aviator socket. Now they've put numbers on the back, which tells me that green is 1, red is 2, white is 3, black is 4. So we'll start with the green, which we know is number 1, and then the white, which is number 3. Okay, the black is number 4, and lastly the red, number 2. Fantastic, that's our front panel connectors all in place. Right, so move the Omnifixo. That looks great. That's starting to look like the front panel of a soldering iron. Little plastic piece to put over the window. There it is, little clear plastic piece. It's in the bag with the rubber feet. There we go. Now that needs to be taped on. They don't actually give you any tape with this kit, but I'm going to use a couple of strips of good old black gaffer tape. There we go. We've managed to get gaffer tape and cable ties in this project. Fantastic. That's it. Just press those down so it stays in place. I'm just going to do a strip top and bottom. I'm not going to go too mad with it. Right, here's our little OLED board for the front panel. Let's get the peel off. There we go. Lovely. Now let's get that mounted in the front panel. It's pretty simple. Just take the nut off here and the washer, and then the board just fits in the back. Washer back on, nut back on, and do that up. That was pretty easy. Just got to make sure you get the display lined up nicely with the window so you don't see the edges of the display. Find myself a spanner to do that up properly. And finishing touch will be the control knob. Put that on. Lovely. That looks really smart. Happy with that. So now we've got to pop this little connector in, which comes from the soldering iron into the back of the board. There we go. Just slots in there quite nicely. Very nice. And then we've got another connector which goes in here, and that's going to go to our power supply board. Okay, so now this board is powered from our power supply here. Now they don't actually give you the little connector with the kit, so I'm just going to solder to these pins and heat shrink it because I don't have any of those little connectors in stock. Put a bit of heat shrink on here. Tin these pins, preferably without melting the plastic. Right, just make sure to get the polarity right. Done that without melting the plastic as well. Great, now we need the hot air gun. There we go. I think that looks pretty nice and neat. We've got one ground to solder on here. Okay, lovely. There we go. That looks quite neat, doesn't it? Looks all right, that. So one thing I mentioned earlier is with these kits, whether you're building one of these type kits or you've bought it pre-built, even with the Casager ones, same sort of thing. You've got an aluminium case and it's not earthed anywhere along the line. So you've got an earthed socket. This board is earthed, this board is earthed to this one, but nothing is earthed to the case. So for safety, I'm going to make a slight modification to this. So I'm just going to take an earth tag from the earth point here. I'm just going to take a little lead and we're just going to put a tag on the back here. We're going to drill through. We're going to make sure we've got continuity. We might need to scurf a little bit off where the screws go in so they've got good contact. So all the aluminium pieces, which you've got 4, have good contact, so they're all grounded. I'm going to pop that back out. So we are now going to drill a hole in our panel here, roughly in the middle. Just going to do it by eye. There we go. Okay, that's nice. Now we're just going to enlarge that slightly because I'm going to use an M4 bolt. Right, we're just going to enlarge that a little bit. There we go. Right, okay, so let's see. This is an M4 nut and bolt here, and I'm going to use a little serrated washer each side, just to make sure we got good contact with the metalwork. I'm just going to put one of these serrated washers here. Right, we only need a little bit. We're just going from here to our little tag, which is going to be on the back there. So now let's find a tag. Lovely. Right, okay, that'll do nicely. Great. Okay, so that's on there. So now we're just going to attach that and then that nut on the back. That's that. Great. And then that just screws back together now. Okay, we just got to get these screws back in. Right, so they're done up pretty tight. Okay, so we're in. All looks quite neat, quite nice. We've got our earth tag here. Going down to earth point here just means the chassis is earthed. Let's just try it for continuity though, just to be on the safe side, hey? So firstly, we should have continuity between there. Yep, we do. That's lovely. So we know that's earthed. That's earthed. Great. Now the case. Yep. And if I can get Yep. Okay, now we've obviously got to test the top once we get the top on. Right, 2 screws in the front, 2 in the back. What I will say is these screws are very fiddly to get them aligned, but it's worth taking the time to make sure you don't cross thread them. I just want to quickly check one thing. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. Looks all right, doesn't it? You can see the earth point on the back looks almost factory, doesn't it? We need to plug in our soldering iron. And put in our soldering tip. Right, here we go. This is today's top tip. Couldn't be simpler. Just pop it in and there you go. You're good to go. Got the angled tip on this. So I just need to find myself an IEC lead and we'll go ahead and test this. Right, so we're ready for our first test. Now the cable that came with it had a non-UK plug on it. I will get around to changing that, but in the meantime it's just a standard IEC lead, so I'll just use this one that I have here. I'm gonna have to get another stand for this one, but in the meantime I'm just going to use the stand from my Yahoo. Just make sure that's off. We'll just use this for now. Always remember to remove the plastic cap. That could be messy. And here we go. Switch on. Oh, yeah, there we go. We got something on there. So it's telling me that it's set to 300 degrees C. It's telling me it's running at 24.2 volts. And 27 degrees C, I presume, is the temperature of this. So this will go up to 480. So there we go, 480 is the max on it. Well, it's definitely getting hot. You can see the discoloration of it. So it's definitely heating up. Yeah. Oh, so it's going into sleep mode. Here we go. So let's see, does the bowl sensor work that we put in? It does. Look at that. Wakes it up. That's fantastic. It's doing everything it should be doing. Right, I normally have mine set on 350. There we go. There we go. You've got a turbo as well. Boost takes it up to 400 really quickly. Tells you that it's on boost. Press it again. Take it off. There you go. That drops it back to 350. So if you need a quick boost, you've got that quick boost there. That's pretty cool. Long press. Takes it into the menu. So you can change some of the functions here. Calibration. Auto sleep. Auto power off. The boost duration you can change. The boost degree, so how much you want it to boost by. Wake up method. The buzzer switch. Battery guard, well, we're not on battery, so it's not a problem for us. You convert units, so you can change from centigrade to Fahrenheit, and you can do a firmware upgrade, apparently, or a factory reset. It's got quite a lot going for it. Change the boost degree. Oh, so that's a 50-degree increment. There you go, so you can change that if you want to. Boost it by, looks like anything from 10 to 80 degrees. And you can change the duration of the boost as well. So it's on 30 seconds at the moment, but you can change that up. I don't know how far you can go up to. You can go quite a way. And then, I guess, long press again. There you go, takes it out of menu. Perfect. One thing I did forget to mention was the rubber feet. I've put the rubber feet on the bottom there. Stops it moving about. Okay, let's have a little play then, shall we? As soon as we've got this up and running. Now, I've got a couple of random odd resistors here. Let's just put them in this board. Just to get a feel for this soldering iron. There we go. Right. Always got to test it out. There we go. Just a couple of crusty old ones that I had laying around. Whack those in there. Right, switch it on. I'm going to go for 350 degrees. Leaded solder. Seems to heat up reasonably quickly. Not quite the right tip on there for what I want to do, but that's okay. Right, let's have a go. Okay. Seems pretty good. That's alright. Does what it needs to do. Yeah, I'd say it's fine. So it's absolutely fine. One thing I will note, compared with my Yahoo one, is you're actually a little bit nearer to the tip. This one you're obviously a little bit further away from the tip with this one. So I find actually might give you a little bit better control. I kind of gotten used to these now. I've got 2 of these. I use them every day. So it'd be interesting to see how I get on with this one. But yeah, pretty happy with that. Pretty cool. So with these T12s, the one I've got here has got the newer form of board. It's got the transformer laying down, and it doesn't have the problem with the heatsink that the older design has. The older board had the heatsink sitting slightly over one of the high voltage traces on the board, which is not the best idea. And obviously, as we've seen, the other shortcoming with these T12 clones is the fact that the case is not earthed. So that's a little modification that I would recommend making if you're going to buy one of these, whether you're building the kit or a ready-made one. So I've got to say, I'm pretty chuffed with this T12 clone. There's loads of these about on AliExpress and other similar selling sites. So if you're in the market for a soldering iron, you could do a lot worse than this one. It's obviously not at the higher end of soldering irons, but as I say, I know a lot of people that use these and they swear by them and they use them on a daily basis. So I'm going to daily drive this one along with my Yahoo one that I use all the time and see how it goes. But from what I've seen so far, pretty good. You can buy them ready made or you can buy them in kit form. I quite enjoyed putting it together and found it slightly amusing that you need a soldering iron to build this soldering iron. So I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this bargain AliExpress soldering iron. I've certainly enjoyed putting it together. Massive thanks as always to everyone for watching, liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing. Always massively appreciated. I'll be back soon with some more tech related videos, and in the meantime, take care and I'll see you on the next one.